Hello, everyone. If you can hear us, just shoot us a yes or something in the chat function. We're going to wait a little bit longer until about 5 past for us to start to just give people a bit more time to log on. It always takes a little bit of time. So, yeah. Oh, perfect. Yay.
Cool. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. I was actually just saying to Danica and Laura now that just a heads up for everyone that it's going to be load shedding where we are in Cape Town in the next few minutes sometime. And what that means is connectivity carries on, but my lights might go out, so it might be a little dark. But I have my good old camping lamp and one or two other bits and pieces here, but it might be like a little bit of a ghost story. But the content will still be there, and connectivity is all good, which is what counts these days. But just so you're aware.
So we will be able to hear you, but not see you, John.
Yeah, which is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't think. Just put your slides up. No one will mind.
Yeah. So as you can see, Laura's already got her glass of wine. So if you want to have a drink, get your glass of wine, get your cup of coffee, get comfy. It's going to be a really good session. I am very tempted to go get coffee. It is so cold here today. It is freezing.
Yeah, you're up in the Highveld, Danica.
I'm actually in KZN at the moment, and it was, I think, about 8 degrees here today. Absolutely freezing.
Yeah, nice and warm then.
It's been pretty chilly in Cape Town. That's for sure. Sure.
Yeah, I don't think I've used my heater this much ever.
It has literally been the coldest.
I'm just going to put that up. You guys you can see the screen share there, huh?
Yeah, we can see you.
Cool, good.
Cool.
Awesome. So many people.
I love it. We've got a few more people in the waiting room. I'm always so excited when I see that there's quite a few participants. It always makes me really excited because it feels like I'm not talking to myself.
Although it does still feel like you're talking to yourself because I can see some of you, but I know that you can't talk back to me. So it feels a bit weird.
It does.
I think we're all learning.
I wonder if everyone else can actually hear me. So I always just go, send me a message on the chat and just tell me if you can actually hear me.
I think we're all learning kind of how to do these things. I think one of the things that's come up is that you've got to have a few people, you've got to have a little bit of a panel. Oh, and there goes load shedding. All right.
You're in the dark.
Well, it actually doesn't look too bad. My computer screens are lighting everything up pretty well.
Yeah,
so
you're fine.
Works.
Your screens are working for you.
My little camping lamp, I'll put that on, see if, there we go, it gives us a little bit of background light.
I see we've already a question from Carl. Are we working all the way through to 9 p.m.? No, probably not. So we just book it so that the session records for that time. So it's probably won't be longer than an hour. But yeah.
Jeez, I don't even think that long. But
really, we do. You can always get in touch with us afterwards, and we can answer your questions. Okay, cool. What is the time? All right, I think we can get started.
Cool.
So, hi everyone. My name is Danny. I am from Africa. So I am super excited to welcome you all to our virtual Shopify Meetup. So although we can't meet in person, which is what we actually like to do, meeting online is definitely better than not meeting at all. It gives us a chance to just see who is around us, who's interested, and we are super excited to then meet you after this entire COVID-19 is done. Today we have Payfost Jonathan Smit with us, and he is going to chat about some really cool industry trends with us. We also have my dear friend and marketing coordinator of Payfost, Laura. She is going to give a quick intro into Payfost, and then we are going to do a quick Q&A afterwards, and you can ask questions about the talk, you can ask questions about Payfost, and we also have load shedding now.
Secure sorry, Danny's run away again. Is she on? No, okay, she's still gone. Yeah, so we're an online payment gateway. I'm sure a lot of you might already be using us or know about us, as you know, Shopify has an integration with Payfast. If not, you should definitely reach out to us. And yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, please just pop them in the chat. And Jonathan will be taking it away now.
Cool. All right. Thanks very much, Laura. I appreciate the intro, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us on this crazy evening amidst load shedding and COVID and all these weird things. So yeah, there's not going to be, I mean, this is not super formal, but I think it's kind of nice. We've been taking this opportunity in these wild times that we are in to, you know, step back a little bit and actually have a look at some of the statistics we're seeing. And we're starting to share that quite a bit across various media platforms, because it's quite interesting stuff. You know, we always get told, you know, we sit on this treasure trove of information, and we know it, and we're just so busy running forward and building and making things more efficient, and, you know, and doing things for our clients already, so we don't end up looking at this data. So we've spent a little bit of time now looking at that data, and that's kind of what we wanted to share with you this evening, and kind of open it up so you can sort of see some of the trends that we're seeing locally, and you can use this in your, you know, kind of add this to your thinking or to your knowledge about what this means for you in your business, you know, and where the age groups to be focusing on, or what are the times of day that are relevant, you know, those kind of things. But please, this is pretty informal. You know, we've got a few stats here that I'm going to show in some slides, but really ask questions and let's have some good Q&A afterwards. We always appreciate feedback, commentary, questions, whatever. So this is going to be, let's start with the trends, and let's hopefully have a productive Q&A afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to just get into this now. Here we go. Right. So this is kind of something that we've been having a look at in terms of some of the changes that have actually happened over, you know, the last sort of year and what is the most popular. I'm actually going to change this a little bit, just so we've got some of the notes in here. I'm actually going to put this on a different screen. Give me one moment. A little bit of tech. Okay, let me go back to presenting that. All right, I hope you guys can all see that. If you can't, just let me know, but I think it should all be there. Right, so let me pull this up. All right, so this is kind of what we've started seeing in terms of, you know, the split between, you know, in terms of our customers, right? The buyers who are making payments on the platform, right? So 62% of all buyers are female, which is interesting, versus 38% male. And we found that, you know, the millennials, aged sort of 25 to 34, still is our biggest group of online shoppers, right? And they're the ones who are most likely to pay from their mobile device. 37% of all mobile payments versus 28% on desktop. Interestingly, you know, the fastest growing group, which I'll actually come into in the next slide, is the younger generation. But also on the other side of it, we've seen a very big growth in the older demographic. But one of the things to take away from this, and we saw this quite a while back, where mobile has definitely become the platform that you need to focus on in terms of your business, right? So whether that's you're doing e-com or you're doing anything else to do with technology, mobile is critical. You know, it used to be that desktop was the more dominant and people were doing purchasing on desktop and they were doing research on mobile. And that's definitely changed. There was a lot of transactionality that is happening on mobile platforms now. And I think it was probably a year or two ago that shifted. Internationally, it shifted, and with us, it's definitely shifted. And over this period, especially that we've seen during COVID-19 and people spending a lot of time at home, we've seen a massive increase in mobile traffic. But yeah, the next bit was kind of around the age groups, and this is an interesting bit as well. You know, so the biggest sort of the biggest chunk of your online shoppers are sitting in that middle bit, right? So from 25 to sort of 44, that's the biggest age group, right? But the one we've seen grow the fastest is your youngest, right? The Gen Zs. So that's your 18 to 24-year-olds. Massive growth there year on year compared to what we've seen historically, right? So it's definitely something where almost, I mentioned this the other day, that it's a little bit of a flattening the curve, as it were, right, in terms of online shopping, where we've seen this massive growth in the younger generation, but we've also seen it on the other side in the older generation. So I think it's the boomers, right? The baby boomers. So that's the second fastest growing age group between 55 and 64, with 62% year-on-year growth, right? So kind of either sides of that traditional curve, we've seen accelerated growth. Obviously, still the biggest chunk of online shoppers are sitting in the middle, that 25 to 44, and even upwards to the 54-year-olds. But this pandemic, to some degree, has forced the older generation to actually get more comfortable with shopping online. And it's become second nature, really, to the Gen Z, to the younger generation on the other end of the spectrum, where they're coming in as digital natives. This is how everything is done, mobile first, everything e-com. So really, it's kind of accelerated this digital transformation trend. You know, and something that this COVID pandemic has done is vastly accelerate digital transformation and digital payments. Remarkable 2-month period, almost doubled e-com penetration in a developed market. Now, we've arguably seen about the same thing happen in South Africa, where we saw practically a doubling of online spend and digital payments, you know, particularly in the hard lockdown kind of period. Even with only essential services being allowed, we still saw that kind of trend. And even now, when people are actually allowed to go and shop and all the rest of it, we're still seeing that sustained volume, right? So this really is a step change in terms of digital transformation, digital activity. So I mean, it's still small and there's still a long way to go. So arguably it might have changed it from 1 to 2% to 3 to 4% or 4 to 5% of retail is occurring online, or payments are occurring online. But it is a remarkable step change, and definitely heralding of what is to come for the world and this industry kind of at large. Right, so that's kind of just a general thing. Then one of the next bits to get onto is, I was just kind of reinforcing where we're seeing the transactionality and the growth, right? So, traditionally what happened was people only really did their purchasing when they were on a desktop device. It was traditionally still tied into working hours, and there was something more about the trust of the form factor, but as smartphones have become so much better and so much crisper and high def and all the rest of it, you are interacting on your phone so much, and also really throughout the day. It's that device that's with you all the time, in the morning when you wake up, throughout the day, even when you're at work and you have maybe a laptop or a desktop available, and in the evenings as well when you're at home. It's the thing that's around you all the time, and the people are far more trusting about doing payments now. And it's also become easier with technology about tokenized payments and stored cards, all the rest of it. It's definitely become a lot easier. So what this is showing us just here is the year-on-year growth that we're seeing across those mechanisms, right? Where mobile payments for us has increased from 2019 to 2020 by 159%. So massive increase in the amount of payments that are happening on mobile devices. Whereas, comparatively, desktop only grew at 37% year on year. Still good growth, but nowhere near what mobile payments were. During the lockdown specifically, mobile payments increased by as much as 42% in that period. Whereas desktop sessions in the same time only grew by 22%. So, the key takeaway here is that mobile is king, and you have to have that in mind when you are doing these things, that if you are looking at something, let's say you've got an e-com platform, you're on Shopify, you must make sure that you look at it, what it looks like on a desktop site, and make sure that when you look on mobile, it works as well. If you're putting in add-ons or whatever you're doing, it's got to work in in both of those platforms. I think luckily these days, Google is pretty good about telling you when you've got a problem in mobile or a problem in desktop, but it's just reinforcing that is key to make sure that you have a mobile friendly or responsive website. Next one was just kind of talking about time of day. So this is kind of interesting. You see that mobile is, as I've mentioned before, mobile is, it's pretty consistent compared to the usage on desktop, where the usage on desktop still kind of follows your working day trend to some degree, whereas mobile is quite consistent throughout the day and more follows when people are awake. So literally when people are awake, they've got their phones in them and they're on their phones. Whereas the desktop trend still follows a little bit more when they're working, and some of the things to keep in mind with this is when are your peaks in terms of online shopping. So we find that peak is between 11 and 12. That's kind of the peak in the day for online shopping. And this also sees the most payments made from desktops, which I think is well correlated with kind of working activity. Overall, desktop usage is pretty dominant between 10 a.m. and 1 o'clock. Whereas mobile is actually peaking more in the evenings, around 7 in the evening. And that's, probably correlated with, evening time, dinner time, TV time, and those sort of times when people, are probably watching something, but also on their phone at the same time. So the majority of mobile payments that we're seeing are occurring in the evening from about 6 to 9 p.m. So yeah, quite an interesting one to have a look at to see these sort of trends. And then some of the kind of the major things to sort of highlight really kind of around the COVID pandemic and lockdown is that it really made a huge impact on e-commerce and digital payments, right? I think everyone wasn't really that sure what to expect, because obviously we're doing, there's a general economic malaise, right? And the country's going through a lot of hardship, which I think we as South Africans are pretty used to anyway. But there is a lot of negativity, but it's definitely the right time to be in digital, that's for sure. Over this period, this lockdown period, we've signed up more than 12,000 new merchant accounts, which is phenomenal. Payment volumes practically doubled in this period. And it's, for us, I mean, we've had to grow our staff complement massively to try and, that 23% is actually super modest. We need a lot more to sort of deal with this massive influx and transformation to digital. So, I don't know what, all of you are in. I obviously assume that you're going to be in e-commerce or some kind of digital with your interest in payments and in Shopify. So yeah, this is, while it's a terrible time across the board for many things, and obviously we can't be blind to the fact that, this pandemic has been a really bad thing, from disease and death and hospitals and all the rest of it. But it really has pushed everyone across that digital divide into e-commerce, into online retail, and into digital payments. So if you're in that industry or looking to get into it, it is a great time. And it really has pushed that digital transformation strategy. And generally the generally accepted view around the world is that this has accelerated digital transformation by about 3 to 5 years. Now we'll see how that plays out, but that's seemingly what is happening. And that's America, Europe, Far East, everyone's seen roughly similar things happen in their environments. So very interesting time, crazy time, interesting time to look at stats, industry growth, really an interesting time to look at, kind of what's happening. But yeah, wild time that none of us could have predicted. And definitely something that's has changed the world as we know it. Yeah, so that's a little bit from me. Just to give you a few little insights, and I think for the rest of it, let's open it up to some of the Q&A and see if you guys have got any questions around this, or kind of anything payment related or e-com related. I think I'm just going to just find. Oh yeah, are you back with us, Danny?
Danny is back.
You've got control. Okay.
You don't have to listen to me anymore panicking, because I was like, what do I do now? Thankfully, Danica is back.
I am back,
Cool.
Thank goodness. So thank you very much, Jonathan. Really, really cool stuff. And I actually want to know if I can steal those slides from you, but we'll talk after. I have recorded most of it. As I said, internet connectivity was not great. So I'll definitely have some stuff to put together for everyone afterwards, because this was really, really cool stuff. So yeah, Laura, did you see any question that you want to start off with?
Sure. So Jonathan, one of the questions that came through was around WhatsApp payments and whether it's something that we would look into doing. I don't, like I said, from our side, it's something that we're always interested in looking at, kind of the technology that is coming through and what that means for us. Currently, we don't have obviously anything in development, but maybe you can just offer more insights on what you think about WhatsApp payments.
I love innovation. And I think that, we as a company have always tried to be quite innovative with what we put out to the market. We're always very interested in, we're one of the first payment providers around the world to kind of offer payments by Bitcoin. We don't do it anymore, but, we're very interested in evolution in this regard and how things are changing. I think there's going to be a lot of changes going forward, right? Very interesting what Facebook did with the WhatsApp payments. It kind of got launched and then got squashed again by the central authority. I'm actually not sure what's happening with it now, but there's nothing that we can say in that regard that we're doing anything, as Laura says, or it's in the pipeline. We look at the environment, we see what's changing, what's happening, and if there's something that becomes very relevant, prevalent, we'll definitely be involved and look into it. We have a big chunk of the market now, and those things, if they really take hold, we want to know, we do what's best for our merchants, right? So we've got to be, if something's very relevant, we want to be involved. We want to have it be there, but we don't want to just integrate stuff just for the sake of integrating it. Like, there has to actually be like a business case. There has to be some traction in it. So I think it's interesting, but I do think there are other things that are actually happening in our country with some of the bigger players that are probably potentially more interesting for us, that have a little bit more of a local context. I'm not going to mention anything at the moment, but there definitely are some things that are being looked at that in the next 6 months to 6 to 12 months would probably be more relevant. We're talking about how the mobile operators are doing interesting things, both in South Africa and the rest of Africa. Some of the larger retailers are starting to kind of get involved a little bit in the payment scape. So there's definitely a move to try and be more inclusive, because historically payments have really been, or digital payments have really been, the purview of the more well-to-do people who had credit cards. That's where it started. And what's happened now is it started being more inclusive by having EFT payments be more of a thing, and as these challenger banks have come on board, they didn't have cards and they started doing, more EFTs. So, the biggest consumer of like our instant EFT service is Capitec clients, right? So they've become a lot more active online because of the fact that EFT is now a very accepted form of payment. So those kind of things start widening the net more and more and more as we go. But one of the areas that's still a little bit of a challenge is trying to get access to kind of a more cash-based consumer. And there's some interesting things that people are trying there. And that, I think, is going to be more interesting to all of us, is that getting those people kind of into the ecosystem.
Yeah, the people that aren't necessarily online yet or don't have access to being online yet. Someone that has a smartphone and WhatsApp probably has access to a credit card or an EFT facility. Thank you, Jonathan. Just another thing I just wanted to say, someone asked me where the stats are from. So all of our stats are actually from Google Analytics, which is directly integrated into our payment engine. So we get, it's payment data from Google Analytics. We don't ask people for their birth dates or anything like that when they're making a payment through Payfast. Just wanted to reiterate this.
Yeah, keep in mind as well, guys, we do, there is other data that we track, which is on the other side of that, right? So this is a lot about the demographics of people paying specifically through the payment engine. But we do also track stuff on the other side of it to understand, we put stats out there about industries, where the payments are flowing to different industries. That's actually from our own data that we're doing a bit of data mining on. So that's a little bit different, but we have put out stuff in the media on that if you're interested in having a look at that.
Yeah, have a look at if you have a look at our blog post, we've also done some blogs on stats, which is quite interesting. So just payfast/blog, payfast.co/blog. And then there are some questions about, let me see, I've lost my place here.
Muscle's Visa Click to Pay is now available in South Africa. How will this affect Payfast?
What was the name of that?
Muscle's Visa.
Click to Pay.
That's not something I'm specifically aware of. I want to see if I can find that question here. Do you know the timestamp when that was asked?
It is 6/21. Yeah.
6/21. Let's go have a quick look here. I want to see where that is. Shoot, I don't know what Muscle's Visa is. I'm going to confess a little bit of ignorance in that regard. Yeah, I mean, look, the card associations, are also actively doing some interesting things in this regard. I know that Visa has, they tried their Visa checkout, and then they've actually changed that to M Visa, which I think actually you might have a typo. I think it's probably meant to be M Visa, not Muscle's Visa.
Yes, it was a
yeah. So. Correction, yeah. So that's so. Look, I mean, obviously, we have relationships with the card associations. We keep tabs on kind of what's happening in that regard. They are partners of ours. So it's not that it's not generally competitive. It's generally something that is more collaborative. So yeah, look, that I can't give you specifics on that. More than to say that obviously we keep tabs on that. We chat about this with the relationships we have with the card associations, but we work with them more than anything else, right? The card associations they're the rails. We are the people that work with those rails to a large degree, and we augment them with certain pieces of technology. Yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting space. We've just got to keep tabs on those sort of things, but I can't give you directly what impact this may or may not have.
Oh. Okay, so we have a lot of questions coming in, so I'm just going to go through them. I think this might be a little bit more up mine and Laura's alley. Any advice on marketing? I struggle with traffic to my store. Been on Shopify for a year, but been a bit slow. We do fitness and lifestyle apparel called Body Brand. Laura?
I'm not sure what your marketing strategy is at the moment. Something that's worked for a lot of online brands when it comes to like the fitness and lifestyle industry has been sort of more image-based marketing. So your Instagrams and your Pinterests and those kind of things. Honestly, just depends on, what it is. Yeah, you're actually selling, who your market is. Are you marketing to women? Are you marketing to men? I think understanding your target audience is always key to what your marketing strategy is going to be. And that's going to filter down then to everything. So who is your ideal customer? Are they a woman? What kind of age group do they fit into? And look around at what your competitors are doing and what is working for them. Because I think that's like competitor marketing isn't about going, oh, you made a pretty picture, I'm also going to make a pretty picture. It's going, what has actually driven their sales and not just likes or comments. I don't know if you have anything. Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to add to that a little bit as well. I mean, that's a great perspective from Laura in terms of, it's kind of a marketing hat on and how you sort of should look at these things. I'm a techie and I love marketing automation. And I do practice what I preach. I actually have I'm involved in a Shopify store as well. And I play with the apps and all this sort of stuff. And I must say that, depending on how big or small your operation is, there is so much you can do these days when it comes to the tools that are available to you with these various apps. And so something I'd probably say in this regard is it just requires a bit of time, a little bit of investigation, and potentially a little bit of on a monthly basis for an app that can help you. But man, you can really set it up for like $10, $20, $30 a month. You can get something that actually automates a lot of that for you, which is gold. One of the big ones these days, but it's probably become a little bit too popular now, is Google Shopping. That's actually like built in as a marketing automation within Shopify. And read up about that. Make sure you understand it. Spend a bit of money on it, because the nice thing, the lovely thing with digital marketing is that it's it's trackable. You know what you're spending, you know what you're getting out of it. There's an age-old saying about marketing that 50% of your marketing works and 50% doesn't, but you just don't know which 50%. It's a huge challenge when you're doing brand building, like when you've got billboards and all this kind of stuff. You just don't know if it works or not. I mean, there's kind of ways to measure it, but with e-commerce, if you're specifically in e-commerce, it is absolutely trackable. You know that your cost per acquisition is this much. You know that you spend this much on marketing and it got you this much in sales. And then on the back of that, what is your profit margin? How much did you make out of it? And then literally it's like, well, if those numbers stack up and it cost you 50 Rand to acquire a client and you made 200 Rand off them, geez, then just the sky's the limit. Keep spending, So don't underestimate how much you should be spending when it comes to online marketing. Obviously your baseline here is make sure that your SEO is good. And there are lots of tools that can test that. Have good content out there. One little tip I'll actually tell everyone is reviews. Customer reviews are key. Get a good review app, because once you start getting those reviews coming in, and if you put them on the page, they are part of your SEO content as well. So that is really, really helpful when you get people actually reviewing the product, and those reviews, if your stuff is done correctly, they actually end up surfacing in Google as well. And if you've got more reviews, your ranking goes up. So, and this is all buyer generated content, so you can really get, you can automate a lot of this stuff, right? With just a little bit of reading, few apps that are there, and everything is well reviewed, so you know what you're getting into. There's a lot of customer service that's available. I've actually been blown away about the stuff that I've been able to achieve as kind of like a hobby in a spare time on one or two things with marketing automation and Shopify tools.
I'd also say, just as a avid online shopper, one of the things that definitely works for me is abandoned cart emails. So if you keep sending me my cart and going, why haven't you bought me yet? Here's 10% off or 5% off or whatever it is. I go, yeah, it has been haunting me and I definitely will buy it now.
And I think Laura is very right there. Those abandoned cart emails, if you're on Shopify, go out automatically, and other platforms do it as well. But one of the things they don't necessarily do is natively offer a little bit of discount. So if you want to be sneaky about that, that's something that's a little tip. Is put a little bit of discount in your abandoned cart email. It doesn't have to be much, 10, 20 Rand,
yeah, I
whatever.
was just about to say, it's not about how much it is. It could just be free shipping, or it could be 5% or 10%, but I feel like I'm getting a deal out of it and therefore I'm going to buy it.
Absolutely. Well, Garrick says, yeah, okay, I think we should all start passing discount coupons. Yes, you should.
Again, it's one of those things. It's a cost. It's a marketing cost, and you add it into the mix. It's a known. It's not an unknown. You can say that, well, it's this much, and it can only be used this many times, or you can do it for a specific customer. There's lots of tools around this. I know one of the things that this other business has done. We do a retention thing where if we haven't seen an order from a customer after a certain period of time, we actually send them an email to say, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Come back. Here's a 50 Rand discount. Because you can look at it the same as your initial cost per acquisition. So if you know that your cost per acquisition on Google is 100 Rand for a customer, if you lose that customer, then you should arguably be willing to spend 100 Rand again to get them back. I mean, you don't want to keep doing this, but maybe then you say, well, send them a 50 Rand discount, and then if they come back, then great. Then you've halved your customer acquisition to get them back again. You shouldn't have lost them in the first place, but what you really want is to get them in and keep them. But there are all these little tips and tricks that you can do, and it's really just it's a process of implementation, consistent implementation.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Laura. Another question that we have here: will there be a lay-by option available through Payfast in the future?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So maybe not quite lay-by, but this whole thing about buying in part, or sort of buy now, pay later, so you're either splitting the payment into multiple pieces or something along those lines. It's definitely become very interesting in the market and kind of globally. You look at Afterpay in Australia, there's quite a few players in South Africa kind of doing it now as well. So all I can say at this point is it's something that we are definitely keeping tabs on and very interested in. There's not anything firm in our roadmap at this point, but we are very aware that this is something that has been, is a growing trend.
Okay, cool. Laura, have you seen any other questions that you want to ask? There's a
So
couple.
I can actually, yeah, I was just like, I'm like overwhelmed, but it's okay. It's all good. There was a question about international payments through Payfast. So I can actually answer this one. We do offer international payments through Payfast via Visa and MasterCard payments. So obviously not EFTs or instant EFT or anything like that, but we do offer international payments. And then there was something else that, Jonathan, I think this one is probably more up your alley. Wondering if Payfast will be like Paygate in the future with regards to international payments.
I'm not sure specifically. I see that question. I'm not sure specifically what what that is. What the question there is from. I think it's from Jacques. Jacques Celliers there. I'm not too sure exactly what the query is with regards to that. As Laura says, pretty much anyone with a Visa or MasterCard credit card can make payment. The payments do have to be rand denominated. That is, that's kind of a Reserve Bank requirement. We are doing work in that regard, and the whole industry has done some work in that regard to start seeing what we can do about multi-currencies, but there are some challenges in that regard that have to get overcome. But anyone with a card, either Visa or MasterCard branded card, can make payment. But yes, not EFT, because that's a cross-border. That's a different story. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but that's a little bit of context around that.
Thanks, Jonathan. We also, I don't know if you saw the other payment question by Nick about payment methods for the rest of Africa. I don't know if you want to go into a bit of DPO group selling there.
Where was that question, Laura? What was the?
It says, yeah, I'll read it to you. Are you guys looking into payment methods for the rest of Africa, specifically the Congo, both DRC and Brazzaville?
So look,
I think I read that right.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I don't have something to be aware of. Obviously, is that we're part of a larger group now, which has operations in 20 to 30 odd countries in Africa. It's not handled by us, in South Africa per se, not really relevant to us. But in terms of the rest of operations around the continent, kind of whatever's relevant is actually integrated into the African platform. So, and there's some MTN, it's going to be Zane, there's quite a few other bits and pieces that happen. If you have a business that operates in any of those jurisdictions, there definitely are options available to you. And all I would say in that regard is reach out to us and we can put you in touch with the right people, or you can go to the DPO South Africa website, so dposa.coza.
And then there was also just a question about the difference between Payfast and Paygate. So I don't know how many of you know, but we're actually all under the same umbrella now. So we were acquired about a year ago now, hey Jonathan? And we are actually sisters or stepsisters with the DPO group, which includes Paygate. So our offering is slightly different. We definitely target different clients, but at the same time, we're not going to say, you should go with us over them, because that would be comparative and we're shooting ourselves in the foot at the end of the day. So whether you're with Paygate or Payfast, we're not going to try and dissuade you from either. We definitely are more focused on sort of the South African markets, sort of your smaller guys in terms of helping you get on board faster, but also bigger guys, we are able to, we facilitate payments for the likes of Takealot and Superbalist. So in terms of, scaling, we are able to scale. It's not like, you use Payfast when you're small and once you get bigger, you go to Paygate. It's definitely just a personal preference about what works best for you and your business.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it actually kind of, the companies in South Africa are reasonably complementary, just in terms of where they've grown and how they've targeted the market. You know, we have a far more marketing approach, and we do these kind of events, and we're very strong in the startup and development communities, whereas Paygate as a product has always been very focused on banking relationships, and has more sales cycle. You know, it's a very different approach, which means that the two businesses, the two products don't actually sort of overrun each other too often, really. So everything is actually quite complementary, and that's part of the reason why things came about the way that they did. But you know, they are very separate products, separate brands. So Payfost is a product, Paygate is a product, and then you kind of the rest of Africa, it falls under the DPO banner.
Cool.
Cool.
I see
there's actually a question. I was just about to say, there's a question for you now, Danica.
Right, you can read it out.
Okay, will you, Africa, add an option for shipping insurance that integrates with Shopify at checkout?
That is a really good question. So I know that the tech team is working on a lot more in terms of the integration between Shopify and Africa. So for example, if you use Shopify, you can edit orders, and that only certain parts of that have been supported on Africa until now. So I know there's a lot of stuff that is happening on the integration, a lot of tech stuff that's happening on the integration between Shopify and Africa. So I will definitely check on that for you, Jacques. I'll remember that. And I'll actually get in touch with you and give you an update on that, because I actually don't know exactly where that stands at the moment. But yes, I do know that a lot of things are in development on the integration itself.
I also had a question earlier about Shopify. So if you have Shopify specific questions, Danica can definitely answer them. You can ask them in here. If you don't feel like it, you can email Danica or just send her a private message on here if you're a little bit shy and don't want to ask in front of everyone. So Danica is able to answer both Shopify and Africa questions.
And what
sorry,
Jonathan, I sent my email address, so it's marketing@uafrica.com. I just sent it into the chat. You guys are super welcome to send me any questions that you have. Like I said, Dr. Clara just said, Shopify, Africa, the integration. I'll absolutely pick it up with you. We can chat about anything afterwards. I'll even set up a Zoom chat with you guys and try and answer your questions as best as possible. I do sometimes know that the questions are often a little bit longer than just a question and answer. So I'm always happy to take it offline.
Sorry, Jonathan, you were saying something.
No, I was just actually kind of scrolling through the chat here just to see if there were any other questions. But you know, I think that's good. I think let's rather leave it there. And I don't know if there's anything else that we need to cover. I think we've covered most of the questions in the chat, and I think if there's anything that anyone additional has, they can reach out to Danny or to Laura on our team with anything that might be a burning question in their minds.
Yes, yeah, I've actually just posted our email in as well. So you can either email Danica and she can forward it on to me, or you can email marketing@payfast.co.za. If you have any other questions that you didn't think of, maybe you fall asleep tonight and you go, you know what, I didn't answer that question and I should have.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. And thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your busy lives. I know that it's not as simple as just taking 45 minutes. I know everybody it's been crazy for everyone. So if we did miss your question, or if you did think of a question later, then please send them through to us. We would love to answer them for you. If you have any comments or anything that you'd like to let us know, you're welcome to email us. But yeah, thank you, Jonathan. It is always such a pleasure hearing you talk. I always learn something new. And Laura, it's always lovely to see your face. So thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining us. It was really, really cool.
Cool. Thanks very much for having me. And yeah, thanks everyone. Good luck out there. And yeah.
Cool. Yeah, good luck with load shedding and lockdown, guys. Good luck. We're doing, you know what, we've survived all of this so far. You know, we can do anything.
Yes, we absolutely can. We absolutely can. Well, thank you guys. And we'll see each other soon, hopefully. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.